point I'm trying to make here. I made the news recently, without giving too much away. There's an episode of Family Feud coming out very soon that I'm gonna be on. Yeah. It is the celebrity edition, so it's Fluffy and Fluffy's family versus Fat Joe and his family. So yeah, it's Fat Joe versus Fluffy because apparently the producers have a great sense of humor. Anyway, long story short, I flew in some family from the East Coast to be on the show with me. The show went over very well. You'll find out who wins later. Here's the deal. The next day, my sister, who was one of the people I flew in, she hadn't been in California in forever, and she was like, can we go to Disneyland? And I'm like, sure, let's go. So it was her and her husband, Gordy, and I took them to Disney. And we get on a couple of rides, and just so we're clear, that's not what made the news. No. I said that last night, and someone was like, oh, because he fit. No. Some people, right? Yeah. We get on the Cars ride at California Adventure. And halfway through the Cars ride, the car stops on the track. And my sister looked at me, she goes, is this supposed to happen? I go, no, the check cleared. We're supposed to finish. This is, we paid. It's supposed to work. No, It took the Disney people about 20 minutes to come get us and take us out of the car. So we're sitting there outside in the sun for 20 minutes. I had no problem with that because I am mocha. I'm okay in the sun for 20 minutes. My sister, she's twice as dark as me. She's like freaking, Apache. She's, freaking Azteca. Just, Her husband, on the other hand, he's from Minnesota. He almost died. Oh, don't you know? Yeah, so while we're sitting there in the car, waiting for the Disney people to come take us out of the car, the people waiting in line realize that the ride has been shut down. And so from the ride, you can see the line. People see the car on the track, and then they see who's in the car. And all of a sudden, cell phones start coming out. And by the time we left Disney, TMZ had already reported the story. And you can Google this, okay? TMZ reported the story. Before we left the park, it said, Fluffy stuck on LA freeway at Disney. I thought it was cute. I thought it was silly. I thought it was funny. I thought it was okay. Until I read the comments. Oh, some of you are dicks. One lady wrote, just because you're tall enough to ride doesn't mean you're small enough to fit. A guy wrote, the car got tired. Another guy wrote, you're Mexican, couldn't you fix it? And that was Martin, yeah. Anyway, so the time before that, we made world news. Some of you might remember this story. The guys and I were involved in an emergency landing situation. I had chartered a private jet because my last Netflix special, the money finally hit my account, and I thought I was balling, right? Nope, turns out we were falling. Worst turbulence we have ever experienced in 27 years of being comedians. Worst turbulence I ever felt, for sure. At one point, the jet did this. I did this. The scariest part was watching my dogs leave the seat. Fortunately, we landed safely. We were okay. That's not what made the news. What made the news is that when we came in for the landing, the jet touched down and then it skid off the runway by 200 yards. And we ended up in a field. A field. A field. Are you kidding me? As hard as I work. To break stereotypes. A bunch of Mexicans ended up in a field. Yeah, that's what happened. That's how TMZ reported it. Mexicans found in field. In the movies, the pilots are always the first to know when there's an issue. And in the movies, the pilots always have the courtesy of telling the passengers. They love to hear themselves talk. They get on the mic.
All right, sir, Captain speaking here. I just want to let you know we're going to be experiencing just a little bit of rough air. If you could just fasten your seatbelts, we're going to be A-okay. All right, I'll be right here with just a minute.
If it gets bumpy, you know.
All right, hey, everybody, it's your Captain speaking here. Somebody just had a little Mexican food here, so yeah. We're feeling a little bumpy up here. Yeah, we just had some fast food. But if you could, just a reminder to keep your seatbelts fastened. We might be getting a little bit. Oh, there we go, just a little bit there. All right, I'll be back with you in just a few seconds.
If the plane's going down,
brace for impact. Hold on tight. We're coming in hot.
Our pilot, nada. Our pilot didn't say anything until we came to like a complete stop. And then maybe like a minute later, the cockpit door opened up and he stuck his head in and he's like, "You good?" I was like, my chihuahua's in a cup holder. I am not good. It was a scary situation, you guys. But let me tell you, even though we were involved in an emergency landing and we thought we were gonna die, I'm grateful for the experience, believe it or not. I'm grateful because it reminded me how valuable life is and how quickly things can change. Every now and then we need a little reminder. We need to get shaken up a little to remind ourselves, oh my God, this is special, this is important. Enjoy it, have fun. The rest of the day after the landing, there was nothing anybody could tell me to ruin how good I felt to just be breathing and be alive. Nothing. And so that's why I'm grateful for bad moments. And I think bad moments are actually a good thing because we need balance in life. You need to have bad experiences in order to truly appreciate good experiences. Not every day can be the same. And you need to have a way to balance. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes there's too many bad days in a row, and that shit sucks. And that's actually what happened to me. After the near-death experience, I go home to find out that someone broke into my house. Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's why I survived, to see this shit. The only reason why you haven't heard about it until now is because the detective who's working the case told me I'm not allowed to talk about it. In California. Yeah, if the guys that broke into my house are here tonight, bravo. That's a flex and a half. No, they broke into my house, and of course, the number one question is, what did they take from your house? And what they took from me, honestly, was my peace of mind. I didn't feel safe in that house after. But if you must know, I did everything to prevent a break-in. I had, first of all, a good neighborhood. I had an alarm. I had 2 camera systems. I had a fence that surrounded the property. I thought I was good. I got video footage of the entire robbery. In 4K. Oh, that shit is crisp. I saw the guys that broke in, but I could not identify them because they were wearing masks. All I can tell you about the 2 guys that broke into my house is that they were 20 years old. I know they were 20 because when they jumped the fence and hit the ground, no pain. If that would have been like a 35-year-old with a messed up sciatica, he'd have thought twice about that fence. So they jumped the fence, they went in the backyard, and they broke the window and got in through the kitchen. They trashed my house, okay? Every drawer open, every cabinet open, everything got pulled out onto the floor so they could sift. Couches were flipped over, cushions were thrown down, and they pulled every single frame off the wall. And I asked the detective, I said, hey, look, I understand the drawers, the cabinets, and even the couch thing, but what's the story with the frames on the wall? Why did they take everything off the wall, but they didn't take any of the frames? Some of that stuff was art. Mr. Iglesias, you have to understand something about these people that broke into your home. They were not looking for photos or art. They were actually looking for a safe. I said, a safe? Yes, sir, a safe. A lot of times in these homes, people will put a hole in the wall, install a safe, and then they'll hang a frame over the safe to disguise that their valuables are in there. I said, a safe? Sir, yes, a safe. But I just got this money. Did they check the mattress? Well, I don't know. Well, let's find out. So we walk into the master bedroom. I grabbed the edge of the bed, right? And I picked it up and I was like, ah, stupid! It's all here! Oh my God, these guys had no idea they were robbing somebody more ghetto than them. So at the end of it, they only got a couple of little trinkets from the drawers. And that's pretty much it. They made a mess of the house. They didn't get any of the money. I'll tell you what they did get. They got my guns. Now...